How to obtain a melting point. First, put on your safety equipment, including gloves. You will need to obtain a small amount of solid. Here, we're using benzoic acid. You can use a spatula to obtain a small amount, usually no more than a spatula tip full. More often than not, the crystals are too large to fit into the capillary tube. It can be extremely helpful to pulverize them. Here we use the bottom of a beaker to grind the crystals. Next, you'll need to obtain a capillary tube. Note that one end is open and the other is sealed. While holding the tube perpendicular to the countertop, poke the open end of the capillary into the crystals. Some crystals should stick inside the tube. Tap the closed end of the capillary against the counter to knock crystals to the bottom of the capillary. Repeat as necessary to obtain about a few millimeters of solid at the bottom of the tube. If the crystals stick at the top of the tube, there are a variety of tricks to get them to fall to the bottom. The most successful seems to be the use of a wire brush as a saw. The vibrations are usually enough to free the crystals and loose them to the bottom of the capillary. Now that the sample is made, find the melting point apparati in your lab. They are all composed of three basic elements: an oven for heating your sample, controls for changing the heating rate, and a thermometer which may be digital or alcohol. Regardless of the style of melt temp, the directions are very similar. Place the capillary closed end down into the melt temp oven, turn on the melt temp and thermometer if necessary, decide on a rate of heating, and begin heating the sample. You will need to watch your sample very carefully. You may see your sample begin to sweat. Note that this is not the beginning of the melting point, but it is very close. Once you see the first drop of liquid at the bottom of the capillary, record the beginning of the melting range. Continue to heat until the entire sample has turned to a liquid. And record that final temperature. These two values are your melting point range and should be recorded in your notebook for further analysis. You'll note the sample on the left, which was the impure, has already melted, and the sample on the right has not yet even started. Record the melting point. A narrow range would suggest a pure sample, while a broad range would suggest an impure sample. A narrow range is arbitrarily set at something less than a 5-degree difference. Dispose of the glass capillary in the glass waste containers, wash your hands, and you're free to leave.